Congress recognizes no limits on its power. It doesn't care about the Constitution. It doesn't care about your inalienable rights. We don't have two political parties in this country. We have one political party, the big government party. The Republican wing likes deficits, war, and assaults on civil liberties. The Democratic wing likes wealth transfer, taxes, and assaults on commercial liberties. Both parties like power, and neither is interested in your individual freedoms. This week, with the passage of national health care, the privacy-invading 2010 census, and attacks on executive salaries by the Treasury Department's pay czar will go down as a historic victory for big government and an incremental, even monumental loss for individual liberty. When Congress takes away our freedoms, they are gone forever. They don't come back. What will you do to prevent this from happening? Joining me now is Lew Rockwell, chair of the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama. Lew, welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Judge, great to be with you even on such a terrible day.
It is a terrible day, Lew, and I'm grateful that we get to talk about these things on just about a weekly basis, but I really didn't think it would be as bad as it is. I guess I was holding out hope. I'll make a public confession. Even saying some rosaries that the pro-life Democrats would not cave. They caved under some ridiculous fig leaf that somehow the president's executive order could stop the government from paying for abortions, as if the president could alter the law he just signed with an executive order, as if he were a king. But big picture, do you think that the liberty that we lost over this past weekend is as monumental as I do?
I do, and I think it's not only our liberty we've lost, but a good deal of our remaining prosperity, because this bill is going to have a horrific effect on the economy. First of all, because medical care is such a vast amount of the economy, far bigger, by the way, than it ought to be because of Medicare and Medicaid and all the various Republican and Democratic interventions, Bush's drug program recently.
Right.
So the thing has gotten far out of hand, and it's interwoven with the rest of the economy, of course. This is going to make everything far more difficult. It's going to make the American people, as a people, poorer. So we're going to be less free. We're going to be poorer. There's going to be a lot of hatred encouraged because, of course, when this thing fails, and if anybody really believes that they're taking us to the medical nirvana, well, everybody will have anything and nobody will ever have to pay and nobody will have to wait and they'll all get the top care. Of course, it's all just nonsense. So when that doesn't happen, when the waits become terrible, when the cost is far more than we think, when people are brutalized by the government medical system, the government is going to seek, of course, who's to blame, and that'll never be itself.
Right.
It's going to be scapegoats. So they're going to scapegoat doctors, they're going to scapegoat patients, they're going to scapegoat who knows who, but it's not going to be good. So it's not going to be good for civilized society. It's not good, again, for our economy. This is a very dark day.
Congressman Paul and I were just talking about this, and one of the entities that they may not be able to scapegoat, Lew, is insurance companies, because insurance companies might not be around much longer. I mean, it's pretty clear that many Democrats in Congress, I suppose some Republicans too, although the Republicans this time around were unanimous in their opposition to this monstrosity. Many of the people in the Congress really want insurance companies to be gone. They really want a single-payer system like Canada has, or worse yet, a system where the healthcare professionals are actually employees of the government. Could you even conceive of what that would do if the government added millions more employees, if doctors had to work for the government, if they formed a labor union, if they formed a voting bloc? I mean, is this stuff fanciful, or could these things actually happen as a result of what the president signed into law earlier this week?
Well, we've taken a step towards it, and anybody who wants to see single payer, you don't have to go to Canada. You can go to a VA hospital. By the way, I urge that because the poor guys there can use a visit.
Yeah.
But it's a very good thing as a citizen to go visit a VA hospital. This is single-payer medical care. That's what, or we could look at, say, the prison medical system. That's another single-payer system, or the Indian Health Service hospitals. These are some of the most criminal operations, criminalist in their treatment of patients, that exist in the whole world. They're sort of Soviet-like. And absolutely the people in Washington would like to fasten that on everybody.
So if grandma goes into the hospital because she needs a new hip and the federal bureaucrats say, you know what, grandma, we're not going to give you the money for the new hip because you're 82. We're going to save this money and use it for Junior's new knee. He's 26. This is the type of bureaucratic decision making, not medical decision making, not decisions made between a patient and a physician, but a mandate from a government bureaucrat that, Lou, under this law is not appealable. Grandma can't hire lawyers and run to court and appeal the decision of the bureaucrat who said you have to live with that pain, you can't get the new knee because we decide how the money has to be spent. Don't people realize what's coming?
And no, I guess they don't, and they don't realize that practical euthanasia is going to be the effect. And it won't be so much the bureaucrats will say you're not going to get the care, because no bureaucrat ever wants to take a decision. What they will do with delay until Grandma dies. I mean, that's the way they do it. And however, the senator's nephew or the congressman's son, they're going to do just fine. But the rest of us, of course, are going to have to seek what small amounts of private care are still available. And I would urge everybody, if they can get a doctor who will not take government money and will just be your doctor and on a fee-for-service basis deal with you as medicine used to be in a free market system, then, that's a very good thing to have.
Medicaid broke, Medicare broke, Social Security broke, everything the government runs is broke. The problem with the government is too much entitlements. And yet we had another one where they're going to collect taxes. It's almost comical. You couldn't make this up, Lou. They're going to collect taxes for 4 years before they even provide any benefits on this.
It's a good thing we're not planning to go to a tanning booth, Judge.
Right.
Because there's a big tax on that.
Right, because that tax is going to be passed on. They're going to make restaurants and food markets give you all kind of food information. Whatever happened to freedom of choice? Whatever happened to freely negotiated for agreements between individuals and companies that want to provide the services that the individuals want to purchase? I guess in healthcare, it's almost doomed.
Well, this is all, it's really totalitarian, and I'm already seeing people saying, well, since we, quote unquote, are going to be paying for medical care, we have got to make sure that no unhealthy foods are served, no unhealthy foods are manufactured. Maybe we'll all be doing calisthenics in front of our office buildings like under Mao Zedong. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but this is the mentality that we're seeing in operation in Washington, D.C., and you're right, it's both parties.
I was speaking to a group of folks last night who agree very much with what you have been saying and I've been attempting to say, and I told them, I said, the IRS just exists because of a statute. We could get rid of the IRS just by changing the law. Imagine how wonderful the world would be if we didn't have to pay taxes. But it wouldn't be that easy to undo this legislation, Lou, once the benefits start to flow and the courts rely on a principle of jurisprudence which says once the government offers a benefit and people alter their lives in reliance on the receiving that benefit, the government can't stop it. Stated differently, even though Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security are blatantly unconstitutional, it would be virtually impossible to stop them today.
Well, Judge, unless we had a Congress composed of Ron Pauls, I'm afraid that the chances of repeal are pretty slim because, after all, the Republicans have never repealed anything. In the entire history of the Republican Party, they've never repealed anything.
Right.
So, no, they're not going to repeal this. They're going to put their own people in it. They're going to have the benefits and the payoffs flow to their people and their industries. That'll be somewhat of a difference, but it's no better for the patient.
Lou Rockwell from the Mises Institute, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.